Some residents of Hammanskraal in Tshwane have been left feeling hopeless as inconsistent water supply persists. They're often left without water for hours at a stretch and often without explanation. They say they hope the new agreement of a government of national unity will help to resolve the service delivery challenges which have been a burden for years. Newzroom Afrika's Katleho Sekhotho joins us from Hammanskraal. Katleho, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. Tell us about the concerns that some of these residents are raising when it comes to service delivery, especially water.
A very good morning, Aldrin. Indeed, the issue around water supply in Hammanskraal persists, and this means that so often the residents who live here are left without water supply for days on end. And even when they do have water, some have told us that the water is not safe for consumption. So I want to show you what's actually happening behind me, Aldrin. As you can see, this long queue that leads up to a borehole in which residents bring their buckets and bottles, 2-liter bottles to fill up, and with these that they take them home. Some people obviously have wheelbarrows and they're able to bring those wheelbarrows in order to get more water in their buckets as well as in their bottles. And this is a day-to-day occurrence that the residents of Hammanskraal tell us that they're experiencing. And now the question is, how long do they have to suffer like this without solutions and without explanations from government? And, some of them telling us that for perhaps a decade long, they'll have water supply at some point, and then at some point there won't be any water supply. But to get more details, I do have with me one resident, Marcus Mabusela, to just tell us about the experience of water supply in Hammanskraal. Marcus, thank you for your time. I mean, this seems to be a daily occurrence. Any solutions or anything, has anything been communicated in terms of what will happen with this situation?
I mean, this problem has been happening for literally over a decade, if not two. Since my family came here, I think it's in '93, we knew there was always an issue with the water supply. I mean, you'd find that people in Hammanskraal would have brown teeth. So it's been happening for a very long time. But as of recent, especially with these tender, issues that have been happening, the situation has worsened, and it does not seem as if it's going to be fixed anytime soon. We're not getting any communication from the political leaders to say these are the steps that have been taken. I mean, as you can see today, the whole of Hammanskraal has no water. And there's a lot of people here. Yeah. I think almost 500,000 people stay in Hammanskraal, and there is no water. So as I woke up, I saw droves of people just walking with empty buckets and saying they turned back because the lines are too long. So the whole day, we'll find this line will be just, getting longer and longer. And this is what people do. This is life here in Hammanskraal. That's how it is.
Now, Marcus, borehole water, how safe is it, and what are residents usually using it for?
So borehole water has been used to usually for washing of clothes, bathing, but not so much to consume. If they are going to consume, then they do boil the water and they add a bit of chick just to kind of take out the bacteria that might be there. But ultimately, it's not safe for human consumption. Yeah. And we've had many instances. I mean, I know a childhood friend who's literally our neighbor here who passed away 2-3 months ago, Sammy. And I mean, he just woke up, they had a tummy ache, and they took him to the hospital, and that was the end of it. So this is claiming people's lives. And I know that the recent incident that was happening where there were a few people who had passed away, I think that was just a highlight of this pandemic, if you want to call it that. Yeah. But the reality is it's still happening. People are still dying, and it's a dire situation.
Yeah. I mean, we did see the cholera outbreak last year. One would think that incident or that time would have really sent alarm bells out for some sort of response or urgent intervention. Any infrastructure development that you've seen around, anything like that?
I personally have not seen it. I mean, my parents are still based here, and I have to come as often as possible. But I mean, I did hear, through the media that they're making some intervention. There's nothing, no promises, have been made as in like them coming and literally talking to the community. But I think I saw an article or two, and apparently, they've said that within a few years the problem will be rectified or something of that sort. But the reality is, on the ground, there's nothing we've seen. No changes made to the plants or anything like that, the water plants. So, yeah, it's a terrible situation.
And I guess just the final one, Marcus, we do see the formation of a 7th administration in the works following the May 29 elections. Are you hopeful that a government of national unity as proposed by the ANC will bring solutions?
Well, I mean, if there's one thing, accountability. I think that's what this government of national unity can create. A sense of we'll be able to really be able to check what these people are doing, because it's not like there is not any money. There is money, but on the ground we are aware of how these tenders are being run. We are aware of how the system is actually functioning. So perhaps the government of national unity will create some sense of accountability, and these crooks, these thieves that we call councillors and we call leaders and representatives of our wishes and desires. Hopefully now they'll be called to book, and we'll be able to really expose them for what they do to the people, because this is inhumane. Yeah.
All right, Marcus, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Aldrin, you've heard it there from Marcus, one of the residents here in Hammanskraal, calling the situation here inhumane and really a dire situation. As you can see, as Marcus was describing there, long queues that can go on for quite a long time, and one might find that you get tired of waiting in a queue like this, and people sometimes turning back but without the water that they need. And also the other issue that the water here not being safe for consumption. So you can't actually drink this water, but for washing clothes and bathing can be used. But obviously if someone consumes it, as Marcus there was saying, losing a neighbor, that the really dire, the consequences of that are pretty serious, in that people could die after consuming water that is not safe for consumption. So a lot of issues here and no real answers.
Katleho, Sekhotho, thank you so much for that update.